The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up on today's show, we'll update you on the latest in politics, including the separation of immigrants and the controversy surrounding it. Later, 60 to 80% of dementia cases are caused by Alzheimer's. What are the resources available for Alzheimer's patients and their caretakers? Well, we're going to let you know a little bit more about that later on in the show. And then we're going to talk to a Bronx book author about his latest publication, Bronx Bound. It tells the story of a Bronx reporter that finds himself in an unpredictable position. And afterwards, WHEDCOs announcing their latest events, bringing music, reading, art, and more to the borough of the Bronx. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way because right now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. Of course, you're watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We want to welcome our viewers now on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is now being broadcast live simultaneously on MNN's channel. We want to encourage you to also stay connected to us, and you can find out more about us at Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, a lot has been going on throughout the past week, and we're now going to take you to some Bronx updates. Well, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan to overhaul the prosecution of marijuana smokers has some officials in the Bronx burning mad. The mayor announced this week the NYPD within the next 30 days would stop unnecessary arrests and end disparity in enforcement. District attorneys in Manhattan and Brooklyn have said they'll no longer prosecute the majority of low-level marijuana offenses, but here in the Bronx, not everyone is on board with the mayor's plan. Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark stopped short of declining to prosecute marijuana crimes, but said her office supports summonses in lieu of arrests to, quote, allow the NYPD and the Bronx District Attorney's Office to investigate and prosecute violent crimes, which are a threat to public safety. Now, the pot-friendly policy shift comes as advocates are fuming about some recently released statistics showing 86% of people who were arrested for marijuana last year in New York were either black or Hispanic. Well, St. Teresa's Italian-American Family Feast is getting set to kick off their annual return. Now, this year's theme is a focus on the family. The 22nd annual festival kicks off today and runs through Sunday, June 24th. While the feast in past years has been held in July, this year the parish decided to move it up to coincide with school terms ending and encouraging some families to attend. Now, the festivities will start early at 5 p.m. and ends each night around 9 p.m. with longer hours on Saturday and Sunday. There'll also be a raffle with all the profits from the raffle going to assist the church. And this year, the raffle will feature some prizes. Well, you want to know what the prizes are? First prize, $25,000. Second prize, $5,000. And third prize, $1,000. The price of each ticket, $100. Well, speaking of festivals, the Bronx Pride Festival, promoting inclusion, community, and dialogue, and works towards a future without discrimination where all people have equal rights under the law. The Bronx Pride Festival says they do it by producing pride events that inspire, educate, and celebrate our diverse Bronx community. The One Bronx Festival was produced by the 3rd Avenue Business Improvement District in partnership with Destination Tomorrow, Boogie Down Pride out of the office of the Bronx, and the Bronx Borough President, the Bronx LGBTQ Caucus, Dancing in the Streets, the Bronx Academy of Arts and Dance, and Clearview Festivals. A shout out to all those people working to put the festival together. The march was comparatively small but vibrant, and several members of the cast from the FX Network show Pose were actually in attendance. The NYC Pride Parade will be held on Sunday, June 24th at 12 p.m. It'll start on 7th Avenue and 16th Street. And lastly, BronxNet will produce a special show for In the District for voters' awareness about the upcoming electoral candidates on June 26th. Now, the show airs on Friday, June 22nd through June 25th. And make sure that you get connected to us. There you see the times of all the shows. This is for all the Bronx updates, and we'll be back right after this.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
It's the 33rd annual 116th Street Festival held every June in the heart of Spanish Harlem. And the woman of the hour, BronxNet's own Rena Valentin, she received an appreciation award by organizers for bringing attention to survivors of Hurricane Maria.
I would like for everybody to just come together as one nation and understand that we stand stronger together.
She was joined by hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers that came to 3rd Avenue to celebrate one day before the National Puerto Rican Day Parade along 5th Avenue, and 9 months after the worst storm to hit Puerto Rico in 80 years. She's here to say that everyone can get involved as she did on a walk last year.
We walked in silence. Like, I don't know how many blocks that is, 160, 50 something. That's a good chunk of blocks.
With this year's festival, perhaps more significant than in years past, as many express solidarity with Puerto Ricans on the island, still recovering from Hurricane Maria that followed Irma, with the most recent leaving the island without power for months, concern has escalated once again, with the release of a Harvard University study showing the death toll at well over 4,000, a figure much higher than the Puerto Rican government's official count.
We did it in silence, and we did it for the lives lost. This is before we got that new number, to just send light to the island and to those who are suffering.
2 hurricanes. Most places, they barely survive 1 hurricane, but 2 in 1 cycle. And our country has not treated them as they would have treated other American citizens, because in this case, most Americans have no idea that Puerto Ricans are Americans.
With New York's Puerto Rican diaspora numbered at around 700,000, the day was also filled with fun for children of all ages as performing artists entertained those gathered with traditional clothing and food found everywhere.
This is special. This is special because we celebrate the Puerto Rican culture. People come from all over. It's not just New York City, it's not just El Condado de la Salsa, it's from New Jersey, Connecticut. They come in, they do this. Tomorrow they go to 5th Avenue for the parade.
Having everybody come together from all the 5 boroughs and really recognize the importance of the Puerto Rican diaspora here in New York City, and then more importantly, remember the importance of Puerto Rico and the work that's being done there, and predominantly our efforts to make sure that we rebuild it better than it was before Maria.
Those feelings shared by others.
We're one community, and the more we show each other that we love each other and we're all part of the same family, everything's going to be great. And that's why today is so important.
Hashtag Our Power PR NYC, uprose.org, and the New York Hispanic Chamber of Commerce are just some online resources mentioned by Ms. Valentin that the public can access.
Everything matters. We matter. We all matter. And Puerto Rico definitely matters.
For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And thank you, Arlene. And we'll have more news coming up right after this on Open. reading.
Searching for help with dachshund breeding.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
And we are back here on Open, here now with the latest news in border control about the White House's new No Tolerance Act. Here to tell us more is our political expert, Lee Bonds. Lee, good to have you.
Good to be back.
Obviously, as we talk about this here, a lot of controversy surrounds the White House's decision about this No Tolerance Act. The latest, we have House Republicans, I know, actually who are saying they're in favor, or I should say coming out against, saying that this can't happen. So let's talk about the tenor in Washington, D.C. right now about how people are equally divided about this.
Well, it's almost impossible to find a place to start, so why don't we start somewhere and at the beginning. You know, this issue has initially been triggered simply because of the zero tolerance policy that Donald Trump's AG, Jeff Sessions, announced about 2 months ago. Since that time, there's been a severe uptick in the number of people that have been arrested, facing deportation, and as a result of that, their children have been taken away from them. Right now, the country is like in a fervor over this, and probably should be, considering that it is an inhumane process that these people are being subjected to. But the president has, I've been looking at the numbers, and he has 58% of Republicans voters who are sticking with him on this issue. As long as he can hold that number as steady as it is, he's going to stick with this policy. Not only that, to be absolutely honest with you, the reason why we're getting so much noise on this issue is because the president really does need a win. Outside of the tax break that he was able to get through and the Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch that he was able to get appointed to the Supreme Court, he really doesn't have much to talk about. They will try and push this thing about the economy is doing well, but because of the trade war that's going on with China, the EU, and et cetera.
So let me go back for a second. Does this resonate in the hearts of Americans as a win? I mean, obviously, you said the president needs a win,
yeah.
But will this be a win for him?
Well, if he can find a way to stay in office after the November 18 elections, that would be a win. He is feeding his base right now, and his base is giving him the support that he needs. Now, we've had a lot of pushback from Kamala Harris and a lot of other names. There's the Republicans are also giving him some pushback because they have bills headed to the floor to be voted on by, I believe, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. But the president is unlikely to sign either of those bills. They're pretty much DOA, dead on arrival, simply because of the fact that they got two competing bills right now. One, a very, very conservative bill where they're talking about no amnesty. They're talking about getting rid of, the DACA folks are not going to get much protection. They're talking about putting up the wall, $25 billion for the wall. Then the less than conservative, but the more compromising or moderate proposal that's being put up will be opposed by the Freedom Caucus inside. So it probably won't even get out of the House, let alone get to the Senate. If it gets to the Senate, which is unlikely, it'll die there. So the president doesn't have to, he can literally sit back and say, look, it's their fault. It's Congress's fault. And he can sit back and feed his base all the red meat that they could use. So again, because of the fact that the economy has lost, or the market has lost all of its gains for the year based on these trade issues that are going on right now, he needs a win. And for him, this would be a win for his base.
We heard of North Korea and the recent moves North Korea has been making in terms of trying to send back those, and we understand that hearing Kim Jong-un's response about, listen, trying to play nice with America. President Trump has already got enough controversy going on. Let's talk about this for a minute. Where does he stand in the area of foreign policy? Because when we grade the president on foreign policy, a lot of Americans do it plays a part in how they vote. Uh-huh. For some, it matters not, but this particular issue is holding fast with some voters.
Well, look at it this way. Again, it comes back down to the president needs a win. He did not get one when he went to Singapore to work out this deal with the North Koreans. Kim Jong-un cleaned his clock. He got tangible things from the United States. The United States got nothing but promises that, well, the only one promise that they've made good on is that the North Korean government is going to turn over the remains of U.S. soldiers from the war back in 1953. Now, if you want to say that that's something to look, a big get, if you will, I don't think so. For number one, the war is still technically on between the United States and North Korea. After the meeting in Singapore, Mike Pompeo, the State Department guy, was supposed to come back and give Congress a hearing on, well, we went over there and here's what we talked about in terms of verification, that to make sure that these guys are doing anything. That meeting was canceled. That meeting was canceled. Why? Because Kim Jong-un was in Beijing talking to Xi Jinping, pretty much giving him the lowdown on everything that transpired during the negotiations. And so the big winners out of that event was China, Russia, and the North Koreans. So it kind of left Trump still out there looking for a win. All of the smoke and mirrors, all of the spin that he came back, you can rest assured everything is over. North Korea is no longer a threat to us. That's ridiculous considering the fact that they still have all of the nuclear weapons that they had prior to the meeting, and they have given no indication that they're going to be giving them up. Nothing other than a lot of lip service, and this is the kind of lip service they've been giving for the last 30, 35 years, and getting away with it.
Talk about the midterm elections coming up around the corner. We talked about voters and what they actually possibly could be thinking. Are you anticipating a stronger midterm turnout this year than possibly years past?
You know what? I had my doubts initially, but I think this issue with regards to the border and how it's being handled, the humanitarian situation, that has gotten a lot of people up in arms. A lot of people are emotional. A lot of people will decide to come out and express how they feel about it. Now, will it be enough? Because you got a lot of anger on the red side, if you will. And those people are just as motivated. So it's a matter of turnout and who can get their folks out. The Democrats are still looking for a message. The Democrats are still looking for a messenger. And I've been saying that for weeks.
Yeah, and let's go back on that because when we talk about the Democrats needing a message, I think some people have criticized the Democratic Party, and rightfully so, I think somewhat strongly, to say, listen, what is the message that is emanating out of the Democratic Party other than being anti-Trump? Have they solidified that message yet?
Not yet. And see, they do have the issues. They do have the DACA. They do have the border issue. They have health care, which is yet to be resolved. That is a huge issue. By the time this summer is over with gas prices going up, and they will because of the issue with Iran, as well as a lot of other things, the trade wars and things like that, any gains that they may have gotten, the small chunk change that they may have gotten from the tax relief, that'll all get eaten up with higher prices because of tariffs, higher prices because of gas, and higher prices because of health care going up. Those rates are going to be going up in October, just before the election. The fact that the Democrats have failed to grab those issues and run with them, that's one of the reasons why. Now, they haven't made up their mind whether they want to go progressive or they want to stick with the corporate Democratic angle. And until they actually get that fixed, that's going to be a sore spot. And it could keep a lot of Democrats home. If they don't feel as though they have something to vote for, but they've only been given something to vote against, a lot of people may sit on their hands and just wait for the 2020 elections.
And that's usually what we see when it comes to midterm elections, a low voter turnout, but a lot of political analysts saying there could possibly be a big spike up given the fact of this recent policy taking effect. How much is the immigration policy really sticking fast with people across the United States? I mean, it's a hot button issue right now.
Well, yeah, but will it last? I think it will, because see, right now this is not just an American problem. Globally speaking, Europe is facing the same situation. Angela Merkel let in over 1 million refugees, and she's facing a lot of heat from the right side in her coalition government that she was able to put together. She's been given 2 weeks to come up with a solution where Europe, the European Union, will find a way to absorb, not only absorb the refugees coming in equally, and equally be able to face the expense of doing that, but they have a plan now where they're going to go to the countries where these people are coming from and try to mitigate their circumstances there to slow down the flight of these people. The United States is actually going in the opposite direction. Donald Trump said yesterday that these countries that are sending their people up, That's his term, okay? These people who are sending these people up to the United States is, well, if they keep doing that and sending us the worst of their worst, which they are not, I'm going to cut funding to those countries. That is the worst thing to do, because unless you mitigate the circumstances that are sending these people here in the first place, which is corruption, which is crime and violence, that's what they're running from. So until you can find a way to deal with the problems that they're having in their home states, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras. These are the issues. These people are running for their lives, and when they come to the United States, the answer that's being given right now is like, oh, we'll go to a port of entry, your children will not be separated from you. There's issues with that like you wouldn't believe. We're talking about a backlog of over 675,000 cases. The average wait time for somebody to be seen and actually have their case adjudicated could take as long as 2 years. So these people are waiting outside of these port of entries on a daily basis. They're being told to come back day after day after day. They refuse to leave because when they come back, the line is only longer. So these are desperate situations that have to be taken care of comprehensively, and the bills that are going through the House and eventually get through the Senate, if that's even possible, do not address any of these things. It's just a Band-Aid solution to be able to stop the crying, literally. But this is something that will stick around until November, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, a little under a minute left. Let's talk about what can we expect for the rest of this week coming out of Washington.
Oh, my. With this president, it's difficult to say, but the latest news is that Michael Cohen looks as though that he may be ready to flip. He's gotten to the point, I believe, that this is because of Paul Manafort is actually behind bars right now. Michael Cohen, the president's personal attorney, is feeling the heat, wondering that, look, I'm not getting any protection. I'm looking for somebody to take care of some of these legal bills. If I don't see anybody coming to my rescue soon, his most recent attorney has said that he may be willing to offer the government some information that might be helpful.
Because the legal bills are actually adding up.
Absolutely. Some of them are running about $1,000 an hour. I don't care how much dough you have, you're going to feel the pinch very, very quickly.
Be honest, that's why we bring you in, baby.
Good thing to be here.
All right. Well, stay with us. We'll have more Open coming up right after this.
Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count, because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
And welcome back. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. It accounts for 60 to 80% of dementia cases. Now, for people who are caring for their loved ones who are suffering with the disease, what's the importance of taking care of yourself while also taking care of someone with Alzheimer's? Here now joining us in the studio telling us more about this is Teresa Santos, who's an Alzheimer's expert from Montefiore. We welcome you now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you here on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
And when we talk about Alzheimer's, we talk about, 60% to 80% of dementia cases. Let's talk about here in the borough. How prevalent is Alzheimer's? Are we seeing the numbers rise?
Yes, and is it rising because more people are becoming aware, because there's such a campaign now in general that people are becoming aware that someone aging and being forgetful is not normal aging. Mm-hmm. There's always been that assumption, oh, but I'm just forgetting my keys because I'm older. That's not necessarily true. If, there's lots of information out there on the internet on a caring kind, the Alzheimer's Association of concerning symptoms, but just because you're forgetting something and you're 80 years old, 75 years old, mm-hmm. it shouldn't just be dismissed as normal aging. Forgetting things is not normal aging. So I think with the awareness, now more people are coming forward to get their families and loved ones evaluated.
Yeah, well, for somebody who's out there watching right now who does not know some of the signs and some of the symptoms, let's walk people through. What are some of the symptoms that people can be paying attention to?
One of the big things that we talk about, and here in the Bronx, also, it's a big thing here in the Bronx in particular because we have such a culturally diverse melting pot here in New York City in general, that we say if someone was a family cook and they're forgetting a recipe, that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. So forgetting your keys, we all forget our keys. I forget my keys all the time.
Don't ask me. I'm very guilty.
Don't ask me. I'm not sure if I have my keys right now. But forgetting a recipe, a long-term family recipe, if this is a person that always cooked, that's a concerning thing. Forgetting if the person forgets how to get to work and work has been the same job for 20 years and it's only 3 blocks away, that's another big red flag. Mm-hmm. So those are things that shouldn't be easily dismissed.
And so for one who's diagnosed with Alzheimer's, mm-hmm. what's the treatments that are available? And I mean, what's available for those persons? Because it is a hard thing to deal with being diagnosed, and then you have family members say, where do we go from here?
No, exactly. I think that people don't realize that this is just, again, coming to the forefront. And there is so much help at your local medical centers, such as Montefiore Medical Center. But in major cities, a lot of the major medical centers do have complete evaluation processes where you'll meet with a neurologist, a geriatrician if someone's over 61, get some neuropsychological testing. Because once we know that there's something definitive going on, then we can connect you with the resources. Mm-hmm. Again, Caring Kind and the Alzheimer's Association are 2 big organizations here in New York City that can help with resources. When people think of resources, we're not speaking necessarily of medications or a cure. We're not there right now. The medications right now that are available help treat symptoms, and I'm not a doctor, so I won't speak too much on that. But I will say that the resources and just the knowledge of what has to get done before the disease progresses mm-hmm. is the biggest thing that we can give caregivers at the beginning stage.
Right. And caregivers play a very important part. And mm-hmm. I know, I've had family members who've been, diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Yeah. It's been a rough thing.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the place of the caregiver, sometimes the caregiver actually themselves need care. Talk about services, support, and things that are available for caregivers, because there's a lot of them out there watching.
And thank you for saying, just real quickly, that you've been affected, because that's the one thing that I really want to send. If no message gets home in this segment or just in general, if you're not affected now with the numbers, the way they're growing exponentially with every passing year, you will be affected in the future, or of someone that's affected. So this is a crisis, Yeah. But caring. I always tell my caregivers, I facilitate a support group at Montefiore as well, and I always tell my caregivers, you have to look at self-care as easy as choosing a cup of coffee. You know, you're going to have a medium cup of coffee, a small cup of coffee, a large. A small cup of coffee, that's something you can do daily. So I use the example of going for a walk, enjoying the sunshine, listening to some good music, closing the bathroom door and taking some deep breaths. That's a small cup of coffee. A medium cup of coffee is something you do weekly or monthly. Attend a support group. You know, go visit some family and friends. Make time to go to the theater. And a large cup of coffee is something you do yearly. Take advantage of respite groups, that the respite care programs that organizations offers, and go on that cruise, go on vacation. But you have to look at it that standard, and coffee is universal, so that's why I use that analogy.
That's an excellent analogy. I mean, I'll have to give people that information, tell them to do it just like that. So for Montefiore, talk about some of the services that are available for those who've been diagnosed as well as for caregivers.
Well, at Montefiore, for Bronx residents, you're fortunate that we have the Center for the Aging Brain, which is located in Yonkers, and we have the Memory Disorder Clinic, which is located in Blondell. And at both sites, you'll get a comprehensive evaluation. You will see a neurologist, you will see a neuropsychologist, you will see social workers such as myself, because while I'm the care coordinator, I'm also a clinical social worker by profession. So you have this multidisciplinary team that's looking at you and your loved one. So you're not going in for 15 minutes, and I'm not taking away from other doctor's visits, but this is quite comprehensive. And Montefiore has actually been deemed one of the centers of excellence for Alzheimer's disease, which is quite an honor. It's one of 10 in the entire state. So we've received special funding to kind of make sure that you know about clinical trials, research, and you receive the most complete examination and evaluation possible, and support, of course.
So if people want more information, what do they do?
To reach out to Montefiore, I mean, they can contact, we have a website, montefiorecia.org. It has all the information there about our program. If you have someone that you're concerned about, call Caring Kind. Caring Kind, actually I have their number is 646-744-2900. And the Alzheimer's Association is 800-277-3900. And they can start, steering you in the right direction if you have some concerns. And they can steer you to support groups, educational programs, those respite programs. A lot of people don't avail themselves to those services.
What's the most common mistake that people make during, dealing with this whole Alzheimer's situation?
Remember? Mom, do you remember? Remember, Dad? And I always tell them, you kind of forget the word remember. So if I ask you, let's pretend we met, a week ago, and I tell you, do you remember the concert we went to? And we didn't go to a concert. No, yeah, remember, went to the concert. So I say, you have to restructure, reframe that situation. So instead of saying remember, just realize, okay, they're not remembering. We know that there's something going on. Just kind of go with the flow. Repeat the question. So we went to that concert. Wasn't that enjoyable? But try to drop the word remember from the vocabulary once you have confirmation that someone has dementia, because if they don't remember, there's a part of them still that is saying, I should be remembering, and then behavioral issue starts, then a fight will start, and arguing, why do you keep telling me that happened, that didn't happen? And just be patient. I tell families, I can't give you the cure to the disease, but I'm going to help you surf the waves. I'm going to give you information, be patient, step back from the situation. Remember, no matter how frustrated we are, they can't enter our world, so we have to enter theirs.
Well, that's very important. I like that. Yeah. We can't enter their world, but they can enter our.
We can enter theirs. So no matter how many times you want to bring them out of this, and it's frustrating. If it's your mom or your dad, that's the person that raised you.
Right.
So that's your, if it's grandma, for a lot of people, that's the person that raised them. If it's your spouse, that's your spouse.
Right.
So this is a completely new relationship. I tell them, we work on mourning the person that was and getting a new relationship with the person that's present in front of you. And it could be a beautiful relationship as long as we learn to accept that and be patient with them.
I learned a lot in just a few minutes. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for coming, Teresa. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All righty. Listen, we want you to get that information. So if you need that information, you saw the information at the bottom of the screen. Of course, tap in, and then you can get everything that you need. Of course, as we're talking about Alzheimer's, something that affects many, many people. Got to take a quick break. We'll be back coming right up right after this.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Think about getting to know everyone in your community. Meet Annie, a Bronx artist whose mission is exactly that. Annie created a unique way to highlight residents of the Bronx, one face at a time.
I pair a mixed media painted portrait with a personalized story and experience from Bronx natives from all across the borough of all different ages. Bronx Faces actually came up one summer after I wanted to learn more about my home borough. I feel like I was repping the Bronx a lot, but I had to stop and ask myself, what do you really know about the Bronx outside of the neighborhoods that you're familiar with, that you grew up in? So I asked a few of my friends about different food spots that they loved, because I think that's a great way to get to know an area. And once I was already doing that, I was like, let me just ask a few other questions to get a more complete image of this neighborhood. And then I thought, let me just put out the open call online, because I'm sure that this is something that everyone would enjoy and everyone could offer something to this project, and let me share it with everyone.
Annie uses everyday household items to create memorable pieces.
Some of them, I just look at someone's hair and I'm like, wow, I can use Q-tips for these little tight curls, or I can use Pokemon cards, or I can use ribbon falling. So it all depends based on the portrait. I've had someone drop off bicycle tires to me because they're like, I'm a biker and I would love to have that in my portrait, so I'm gonna cut it up, put it in his hair, and yeah, let's see what happens. So that makes it more of a collaboration between me and my participants.
Bronx Faces make a statement that the Bronx is alive and well and thriving with personality.
The idea of wanting to to bring different people and their stories from all over different neighborhoods, I think is amazing, because you see the beauty in each person, you see the beauty in each story, and you see that the Bronx is not burning.
Annie makes sure her designs reflect how people look on the outside, but she also makes people feel just as beautiful on the inside.
It's as colorful as I feel on the inside.
Annie eventually would like to give all the faces back to each participant. To keep up with Bronx Faces or to submit your own, follow their Instagram at Bronx Faces. Annie's goal is to provide a platform for Bronx natives to reclaim the narrative. From BronxNet, Teresa White.
Well, I want to ask you a question. If you have an interest in journalism, mystery, action, you need a book, well, I'm going to tell you which one to get. Joining us now is author John Roche, who's the author of a book called Bronx Bound. And if you wonder what Bronx Bound is all about, you're going to find out right now. John, good to have you.
Same. Good to
we've been
be
talking
here with
like
you,
we've known each other for years, right?
Exactly, exactly.
It's great to have you here on set. And,
thanks.
Talk to us about the book. Obviously, coming out of the borough of the Bronx.
Yeah.
And it's got a little mystery to it.
Yeah, it's. I'd say it's a crime novel or a mystery. It takes place in 1988. There's a reporter, Matt Brady, who is working for a fictional weekly newspaper, the Bronx Ledger. He gets a call to go out in the cold to cover what he thinks is going to be a run-of-the-mill murder, and he ends up knowing the corpse, who is a enigmatic figure from the neighborhood where they both grew up, and it turns out that the story that the police are telling isn't exactly what Matt is finding out, and then Matt Brady, the reporter, gets sucked into the story himself, and then madness ensues for another 250 pages. Yeah.
250 pages worth
Yeah,
of madness.
yeah.
Where did the idea come from?
I always wanted to, as I was a Bronx journalist for almost every newspaper in the Bronx, especially the Bronx Times and the Co-op City Times. I always wanted to write a book about the Bronx that I knew, that most of us know that we grew up here. There were a lot of stereotypes about the Bronx, but I wanted to write a love letter to the Bronx, warts and all, about what it was like to live here, the various neighborhoods, the relationships that form differently in the Bronx. And I just like the idea of a mystery, a puzzle, putting the pieces together, and just started writing it, and it came out. I also wanted to set it in 1988 for a few reasons. One is from a reporter perspective and police perspective. I wanted to set it at a time before technology became so ubiquitous. Now if we met for the first time, as soon as we leave, we'll Google each other or LexisNexis to find out. I wanted to set it in a time where police work required shoe leather and newspaper reporting required talking, getting your stories from the neighborhood gossip or the bartender or the cab driver. And
you play this out a little bit because as a journalist, this is a guy who doesn't just focus on investigative journalism, but he's got some other work to do as well.
Exactly. That's another thing we were discussing is, it bothered me about any story you usually hear about journalists, whether it's television or movies or, books, is they come across a big story and then their editor or producer says, oh, go with it and don't worry about anything else. And we know that, you have to juggle a million things. You still have to, cover the stories about the spelling bee or the school getting a check, and so I like that idea of as a journalist, especially in the Bronx and working for weeklies, it was always a matter of, for me, I always felt like that the guy that was keeping all the plates spinning on Ed Sullivan, maybe a little older than us, but so he has to, while he's working on this to find out what's going on with this murder case, when he gets sucked into it, he still has to juggle all his other stories for the Bronx Weekly. So
I always like to ask this question.
Yeah.
What is it that you want people to take away after they read your book?
Yeah, I hope that it's a compelling story. I never thought that writing journalism and writing fiction were the same, and some people would say that the lines are blurred more than ever, I hope that they get a sense of the Bronx as it was in 1988 and as I think it is still, as this vibrant community. I also hope that it's an entertaining read. I hope it's a page turner. The other thing is I've traveled around, promoting the book, and as you know, I don't know if if you're born and raised in Paducah, Kentucky, and somebody asks you, where you're from, and you say Paducah, Kentucky, the conversation stops there. If somebody says where you're from, you say the Bronx, it's a conversation starter. So that's really exciting. People, if they're not from the Bronx, their grandmother is, their uncle is, their cousin is. So I hope that people are intrigued by it and read it through the end. It's not just about the mystery for me. I look at the Bronx as a character in this book, and I really enjoy it when people come up and say, there's a blend of real places and fictional places. I love it when people come up to me and say, oh, I remember, hey, their first kiss was, at the grotto at St. Lucy's. We used to go there every Saturday, or, Orchard Beach, or, some of the bars, Rhoda's or different things.
So before we leave, tell people where can they pick up the book and where can they get it?
Yeah, it's at, I am in talks with the Lit Bar, the new, finally getting a bookstore back in the Bronx. Hopefully it'll be there. Amazon, certainly. Barnes & Noble, certainly. And my website, which is johnroachauthor.com. But online is probably the best way until Lit Bar comes and, get it in person.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks so much,
How long
Daren.
did it take you to get the book going?
It took me about a year and a half to write, and then finding a publisher was about the same time. And it's taken me, I'm writing a second one now, also Bronx-based with some of the characters. So that's taken a little longer, sophomore slump, I guess.
Sophomore jinx?
Yeah.
That's all right.
All right.
Well, good to have you.
Yeah, great to be here, Daren.
All right, good to have you. Now, listen, if you're from Paducah, Kentucky, don't send me any emails. It was just a joke. We're just joking, all right? Listen, taking a quick break. We'll be back with more show coming up.
We want to show the world that the Bronx is healthy, the Bronx is interested in fitness, and we will and we can do this. Boogie down forever.
In celebration of Global Running Day 2018, a group of community organizations called the Bronx Running Division arranged a meetup and 5K run starting at Joseph Yancey Track and Field at McCombs Dam Park.
It's a special day because there's running all over the globe, right? Everyone else is running, so we're coming all together. This is probably one of the biggest runs put together in the Bronx.
So today is Global Running Day, and it's a day that's just to get people to come out and be active and to move. When we decided to do it here in the Bronx and get all the Bronx running crews together and unify and show the world that the Bronx is active too.
Bronx runners mingled, geared up, and strapped up their laces and enjoyed freebies from the vitamin shop in preparation for the event.
We're gonna be here at the track and then we're gonna go hit the streets of the Bronx. And we're gonna hit 5 different parks just to highlight the parks in the Bronx, and so that other Bronxites know that these parks are here for us to enjoy.
The community ran, jogged, and walked together through McCombs Dam Park, Mullally Park, Joyce Kilmer Park, Franz Siegel Park, and Mill Pond Park, challenging the Bronx's rank as one of the most unhealthiest boroughs.
Today is symbolic. There's really been a push for, a multi-sector movement to improve health in the Bronx, and so this is a big part of that, and we're all about promoting that culture of running and culture of health in the Bronx.
Everyone's out here, kids to adults, different sizes, weights. We're just here to run. We want to show that the Bronx is strong.
Participants ranging from professional to first-time runners shared high fives and cheered each other on. Children, adults, and senior locals felt inspired to run.
It gets you healthy and it's an exercise, and I also like about it because it's fun for me.
The freedom. It's exhilarating. The freedom, the win, pushing myself, the endurance. Everybody was in it together. It was a whole Bronx event. We want to show the world that the Bronx is healthy, the Bronx is interested in fitness, and we will and we can do this. Boogie down forever.
By the end of the run, all 4 Bronx running crews fostered a relationship with the community. They stretched and celebrated together. They also urged the rest of the Bronx to join them.
Please come out, join us. We are a loving community, welcoming community. You can start from sitting on your couch and we will help you reach whatever health goal you have.
We had over 160 people come out to this run. Hopefully next year or the next event it'll be 500 people coming out is what we want. We want the whole Bronx to come out and run with us.
Feel free to just become healthy. Join, even if you're by yourself and you're not with a huge group, get any pair of sneakers that you have, lace them up, run around your block, or just walk to the next block and just know what it's like to feel like, to be healthy, to be active, and to know that you're not just sitting on the couch doing nothing. You're doing something better for yourself.
Bronxites from all ages and backgrounds wrapped up their 5K run and Global Running Day here at Macomb Dam Park. For BronxNet, Sanji Lopez.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And we are back here on Open. The Women's Housing and Economic Development Corporation, better known as WHEDCO. They're planning a summer event bringing music, art, education, and much more. And we want you to be a part of it. So here, telling us more about it is Yesmin, Vega, and Alix Fellman, Program Managers of Community Development. And we welcome you both to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
We love
Be
this time of
here.
year because this time of year is like a lot of events are going on.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I know you guys are pretty busy as well. And so tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of activities that are taking place in the neighborhood this summer. So coming up next week, we're actually installing a mural at Goebel Playground. Goebel Playground is on Goebel Place in McCombs Road. It's over near the New Settlement Community Center. We've been working with Dream Yard Project and students from the New Settlement School and MS 218 to design this mural that's all about showcasing Bronx heroes. So people who are really important to the lives of these young people. We're looking for volunteers to help us out all next week, the 25th through 29th of June. You can come by anytime. We're going to be painting all day. Anyone is welcome to come by and help us paint, and then we'll have a party on June 30th to celebrate from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the park.
And that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
And another event's taking place as well?
Yes, so focusing on another neighborhood, in the Melrose neighborhood, we have our 3rd annual Bronx Music at Melrose, which is this fantastic street event where we shut down 161st Street between Elton and Melrose Avenues. And we have a stage that's featuring local Bronx musicians. Actually, Grandmaster Kaz will be the master of ceremonies and performer of the day. And it's a place, like you mentioned, arts, education, resources, fun for the whole family, everybody. And it's really a way to celebrate the summer, celebrate the community, celebrate the culture and the music in Melrose and in the Bronx. And this event is taking place on Friday, July 13th from 2 to 6 p.m. Again on East 161st between Elton and Melrose.
And I know in addition to that, you also have a survey coming out as well.
Yes, so building on the art and the culture that we know are so prevalent in our communities, we have partnered with the Department of Cultural Affairs as well as the Dream Yard Project to do this Morrisania Arts and Culture Survey, focusing in the zip codes of 10456, 10459, and 10451, because we know that people interact with arts and cultures in many different ways. And arts and culture is defined by everybody in a myriad of ways, be it food or quilt making or art making or music. And we have this survey where we want to learn more about the culture in the community, how people interact with culture in the community, what do they want to see more of, because we are really looking to bring more arts and culture to the neighborhood, that build up what we know what's there, formalize it, bring more resources, and we need everybody's help in those zip codes that I mentioned, again, 10451, 56, and 59. We have a survey online. June 30th is the deadline for the survey, and we are looking to get the greatest amount of surveys that we can, because the more we know, the more we can fine-tune our events and our resources to these needs.
So give me a little bit about this here, because when we talk about arts and and culture, it's a big thing across our borough. And for you guys playing a part in that, talk about the community and what you're hoping that the community engages in through your event.
Sure. So yeah, WHEDCO, we run the Bronx Music Heritage Center, which is kind of the home of all of our arts and culture activities. And it's really all about lifting up the music and the musicians that come from the Bronx. So we've been, for years, have been running programming like the street fair that's coming up, other performances, and inviting people to come out. Most of our performances are free. We also have music classes there. So we have a lot of opportunities for people to participate in the arts there.
And when we talk about local talent, obviously we have a lot of local talent here. What's it like to actually have that being broadcast to the community? So many times we see a lot of people from the outside, but here in the borough, I mean, you're really tapping into that.
Definitely, and it's not only more formalized acts, if you will, but even community performers, and the guy in the corner set up his little drum set. And it's great to invite them to the stage so people can see what's here, what was born here. And we really focus on not only Bronx artists, but also the myriad of musical genres that were born and really thrived here, from the Irish and Italian music to hip hop to samba to salsa to everything, to really celebrate that.
So for people who want to know more about what's happening, how they connect in with the calendar, and also I know you're looking for volunteers.
Yes.
So what kind of volunteers are you looking for? What do you want them to do? Somebody's out there saying, okay, what do you want me to volunteer for? What is it you need?
Yeah, so for the mural that we're installing at Gobo Playground, we do need volunteers June 25th through the 29th. Anytime between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. people can come by, paint. We'll provide all of the materials. Just make sure that you wear something that can get some paint on it.
Right.
And we'll have snacks and we'll tell you what to do. And on the 30th, we're just looking for people to come and participate. And same at Bronx Music at Melrose.
We're looking for people that just want to come out, help us set up. We also would like local organizations, if they're interested in coming out and not just tabling, but really providing an engaging activity to connect with the community and share their resources. You can find out more information on our website, which is WHEDCO.org, WHEDCO.org, or by calling 718-839-1197. And for the survey as well, you can find that on the WHEDCO website. And there's a little bit.ly link, if anyone would remember. It's bit.ly/Morrisania Arts and Culture. bit.ly/Morrisania Arts and Culture. And we also have it in Spanish, bit.ly/Morrisania Arte y Cultura.
And there you have it, English and Spanish.
Yes.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for coming and sharing with
you.
us.
Thanks for having
Wish
us.
you much success for the event.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
weather,
you.
all that stuff.
Yes, yeah.
As the weather continues to get better and better, we're glad to have you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
All righty. Want to thank you guys for joining us. And listen, I want to tell you today, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us. But most of all, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Again, if you missed any part of today's show, you can recatch the Cablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Cablevision's channel 67. If you don't have that, Verizon 33, that's Fios 33, and anytime on the web at www.bronxnet.org. Once again, a big special shout out to those who are watching live on MNN. And for all of us here on the Son of Open, thanks for watching. I'm Daren Jaime. Until next time we meet, stay safe, and most of all, keep this channel wide open. So you guys stay on something.